So you've got some world-class linen, which means you're ready to make a painting, right? No, far from it, in fact. To transform linen into artist canvas, well, that's a work of art in and to itself. And as you may have guessed, it takes place here in Belgium as well. And today, I'm about to go meet the people that have been doing that for over 100 years. I'm Julian Baumgartner. As a fine art conservator over the past 2 decades working to preserve artworks, I've been fortunate enough to meet and work with some of the most talented, driven, and interesting people in the arts. And now I want to take you into their worlds, to meet them, hear their stories, and share their passions. So join me as we go behind the canvas. My journey took me to the picturesque town of Waregem, where the legacy of Belgium's canvas is kept alive. Here, I had the great privilege of experiencing firsthand the masterful craftsmanship and unparalleled expertise that goes into creating the canvas that will one day serve as the foundation for masterpieces. I was honored to visit Claessens Artist Canvas, a company founded in 1906 with a long-standing reputation for excellence. Here, I had the opportunity to meet Thomas Heuvart, the 6th generation owner of the company, and see the exceptional work they do. So Thomas, tell me about this building. Where are we? I mean, this looks like it's been around forever.
It has been since 1906. Victor Claessens founded the company in 1906. The first invoice went to Prague, the second one to Rotterdam. Exported from the very start, so even today 80% or more goes complete world. So
Claessens is all over the world?
All over the world. We believe that Victor Claessens, who learned the skills of making canvas, he learned it in Brussels. And we believe, maybe it's a bit of a wild story, that he left there and he took a lot of information about customers, and that's how he could sell it to Prague, Rotterdam from the very beginning.
A little bit cheaper, a little bit faster.
Probably. Yeah. So it was also the start of the industrialization of canvas making. So the whole process that was done by the artist.
And I would imagine that in that kind of industrialization, that it became better, more reliable and more consistent. And the artists didn't have, you know, because we can't trust artists necessarily all the time.
I won't say that out loud, but okay.
And so what happens in this building?
Here we make still traditionally primed, hand-primed, large-sized canvases.
Okay. Is that what's going on down here?
That's what's going on for the moment. That's a 3m10, 10m long linen canvas, which will end up as an universal primed canvas.
So these craftsmen here, how long have they been working for Claessens?
Quite long, in fact. It's a profession that you can't teach in school, so it's an in-house process.
Learned knowledge.
So it takes quite a lot of time. 2 people working here now. Daphnis, the youngest one, almost 10 years, and the older one is Chris, over 30 years in the company.
And so what is he doing now? I see he's got a gigantic palette knife.
Yeah, so that's the first gluing layer that he's applying now, indeed with a larger palette knife. It's a PVA glue.
Yeah, I noticed it didn't look like a rabbit skin.
No, it's not rabbit skin glue anymore.
And so why do you use PVA instead of rabbit skin?
The main reason why we made the switch to a synthetic glue is that we export our canvases to Japan since several decades.
Interesting.
And in Japan there can be very large differences in humidity in a very short time.
And humidity and rabbit skin glue do not go well together.
Yeah, it takes at least a year before you have the feeling of how much pressure do I need to apply.
Right.
But maybe, if you want, you can have a try.
Yeah, I'd love to.
For the first day then.
Yeah. See if I can keep a job.
How you can achieve.
Okay, so where do I start?
Okay, so you take the knife like this.
Yeah.
You grab the glue. Put it on like this.
Yeah.
Then push up a little bit in, but this is just to put the paint on the canvas. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you take another spoon of glue and do like this.
Yeah. All right, I'll try not to mess it up.
Hey, no problem.
It's good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
Okay, now a second.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Whoop. I guess try not to make a big mess, yeah?
Yeah. But you always have a little bit of loss when working with glue.
Yeah, I think I just stepped in it.
Yeah, believe it or not, you're actually doing very good.
Well, I think my reputation is at stake as a conservator.
Maybe you have to stay here and
Yeah, I was thinking.
because we were looking for somebody new, actually.
So I look for a sheen.
An even,
I see.
yeah, part on the canvas.
Okay, so mine's a little bit.
Oh, I've seen worse.
You've seen worse. So I did not ruin the entire
No,
piece.
definitely not. Yeah,
Okay.
you did.
Is that why you guys had me do it at the end? In case I did a very bad job, you could just cut it. It was much harder than I thought. You know, there's a definite delicacy that's required.
That's all about training. And like Thomas said, it takes about a year, maybe a year and a half until you're really, really good at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thanks for letting me do it. I appreciate it. I thought I was going to step in the glue and slip and just slide down there and be covered in glue.
It can get a bit dangerous, it is, yeah.
So now the glue's been applied, that's it, right? Like it has to dry and...
That's it. It has to dry overnight, so to apply the second layer, which we will do tomorrow then.
Okay.
Once that dry, we will start with lightly sanding the canvas, because the glue gets a bit rough.
Oh, I see. So
And just to get rid of the roughness,
Uh-huh.
and then we start with the priming itself.
Oh,
So
okay.
whether we choose to go for an oil prime canvas, or a universal / acrylic prime canvas.
I was reminded by Thomas that this may be the only place in the world left that is capable of producing these large-scale canvases, up to a staggering 4 meters wide and 40 meters in length. That's roughly 13 by 131 feet. It's truly remarkable to think back on the history of this company, this building, and even this room, and realize the massive amount of canvas that has been created here for artists all over the world. Being able to walk through this space and take part in its creation, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence. Here, a team of dedicated artisans carry out a process that has been honed over time, perfected through thousands of hours and meters of linen, and passed down from generation to generation. And though the personnel and materials may come and go, it's clear at Claessens there's a deep sense of respect for the care and dedication that goes into each and every canvas.
So Thomas, it is really a buzz here. You got a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of people are painting, so it's good news for us.
This can only mean one thing. I know what this is. You're making your own paint.
That's also one of our proud things, that we still control what is put in our paints. We could indeed perfectly buy ready-made paint in barrels and put it on the canvas.
But that's not good enough.
That's not good enough for us. There are some secret recipes. For instance, especially the oil recipes. Or really, we have a small booklet.
Passed down from generation to generation. Oh, that's so cool.
That much of that, that much of that.
Yeah.
And we keep following that since the very beginning.
A direct line back to Victor Claessens and his first recipe that has sustained the business all the way to this.
Exactly the same.
Are they going to make some paint here?
Now they're going to make some what we call acrylic or universal primer paint.
Which is the same as oil, but instead of oil, it uses a water-based?
A water-based acrylic binder.
Gotcha.
So we have the binder, we have the titanium white, and some other ingredients.
Some secret sauce.
Yeah, to ease the mixing, to ease the applying of the paint, so the paint settles nicely on the canvas. And now we will start putting in the pigments. That's the main part of the paint.
And those are the powders?
The powders. The powders, we have some pigments, a filling material and so on. A few small ingredients to aid the mixing, which is here applying now. 1 liter of a certain product can be enough to make 300 liters of paint.
Wow.
So small nuances can make a difference between the perfect paint and paint that is so and so.
Okay, I mean, it's a pretty dusty, dirty process, yeah?
It is. As you see, he is wearing a dust cap, a breathing mask. Most important, in fact, is a breathing mask.
To keep him safe.
To keep him safe. It's super small particles.
But that super fine pigment probably makes a better paint.
Makes a better paint.
The fact that Claessens makes their own primer is a testament to their unwavering commitment to quality. It's a detail that sets them apart and speaks to the level of care and attention that goes into every canvas they produce. But their dedication to quality doesn't stop there. They also go to great lengths to ensure that the rolls of Belgian linen that arrive at the factory are of the highest standard, meticulously rechecking them before any are primed. This level of scrutiny and attention to detail is what makes Claessens truly stand out in the world of artist canvas production.
So another machine, and this one is taking canvas, and what's it doing?
Every canvas which we make starts at this machine.
Oh, so this is the starting process for everything.
This is the starting process of everything. As you mentioned, it takes the raw linen, and we start with applying the first sizing or gluing layer.
See, right, because you can't just put the paint on the canvas.
No. Always size or glue the canvas to protect the linen from the paint.
Right, give it stability, strength, and then make sure that the linen doesn't fall apart.
So here there is a large palette knife, but on the complete width of the canvas. So there is quite a lot of tension on the linen.
Yeah.
It passes through under the knife, and it leaves a very fine layer, in this case, of glue.
Just the right amount.
Just the right amount.
Okay. And then it goes back here.
It comes out. It's a bit wet still.
Yeah, there's a little, yeah.
It's a bit shiny.
Yep.
It doesn't go directly into the oven to give it some time to settle.
Ah, I see. So from here to here is...
Nothing happens.
Even 30 or 40 seconds is enough to allow it to just kind of even out.
Yeah, indeed. Even out, and also we put quite a lot of tension.
Is that to counteract the shrinking that's going to happen?
Indeed.
I see.
Yeah.
And so after it goes down this line, it goes into this big, you said this is an oven?
It's an oven.
Wow. And it's at what, almost 50 degrees?
That's the temperature here, outside temperature.
Oh,
the
that's
temperature
outside.
inside is around 140 degrees.
Celsius?
Yeah.
That's really hot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the glue can handle that heat, the linen can handle that heat, and it tightens everything up, it dries it, and then when it comes out, it's good to go?
It's more good to go. We have the 2 layers of glue. We finish off with 2 layers of paint. After the last layer of paint, it's ready to be painted on.
Wow.
So canvas is pulled off of the chain.
Down here.
Comes through a few rolls.
This canvas now has had its glue applied. It's
First
been
layer
sized.
of glue. Yeah.
It'll have another layer of glue.
Second one, yes.
And then after that, it goes to the priming stage, right?
Yeah. And then we make actually the decision, do we make an oil primed canvas, which we make on the other machine, or we choose to make a universal acrylic primed canvas. Then again, it stays on this machine.
Right.
Acrylic, water-based, so we can do the same drying process.
Yeah. Well, I can see why you would have this machine. The amount of canvas that's getting produced is just, it's remarkable how much and how quick compared to doing it by hand.
All by hand.
Yeah. But of course, you're limited in size. So a trade-off, of course.
Here is where we begin the production of oil-based primed canvas. This machine, the oldest at Claessens, is the one that Thomas's grandfather designed and built as he brought the company into modernity. A lightweight fabric is first attached to the canvas and fed into the machine to guide it through the process. The first step in the glue-primed canvas's journey is the sanding, where the rough synthetic glue is smoothed away by a drum sander to ensure that no imperfections mar the surface. Next, oil primer is carefully spread over the canvas by a large knife. A second knife is used to further spread and level the primer, ensuring an evenly distributed coat. The canvas is then hung to dry for 3 days in the drying room before it's rewound and passed through the machine again to receive the final coat of primer. This machine is capable of creating a perfectly smooth primed canvas surface. But that's not what Claessens wants. In the final stage, 2 large rollers mimic the traditional hand priming technique, replicating the subtle textures and nuances that only a human touch can deliver.
So Thomas, that roll was, how long was the roll of canvas?
That will be a 500-meter roll.
So where are you going to put 500 meters? I mean, this is a big building, but it's not 500 meters long.
It's not 500 meters long. So that's what they are doing now. draping the canvas up and down.
Oh, I see. So the canvas gets...
Let's say it's at 2.50 meters up and down.
I see.
So on every roll, we can hang 5 meters of canvas.
Right.
And also, we have been looking into technical solutions, facilitate and to fasten the drying process of oil. Doesn't work. They tested with UV light, they tested with whatever kind of techniques that exist today. It didn't work out. So the only solution to dry an oil prime canvas is hanging it out.
Is to do it the way it's been done for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Right. So technology, sometimes technology can't improve.
No. And in our case, it doesn't.
So even though you have a machine and it's all somewhat automated, it still looks really labor intensive.
It is. I don't believe there is a machine who can handle and see what's needed to do. So they have to be very careful by pulling nicely together so the canvas stays straight. And the most important thing is when they move the one roll next to the other one, the canvas can't touch.
Oh, yeah.
Oil paint is still very wet.
I see.
And then we have a double marking, which we call it a sticky canvas, which you have to cut out.
Oh, wow. So that would be catastrophic in the middle. Yeah.
It is. On the final inspection, we make, let's say, 1 10-meter roll. We see something has happened. Canvas has stick together. We cut it out, start a new roll.
Right, right. So it still comes down to the human touch.
It does.
As I walked through the factory at Claessens, I was struck by the impressive blend of tradition and technology. Despite the implementation of machinery in the manufacturing process since 1906, the company still maintains a strong connection to the traditional techniques of hand priming canvas. As a conservator, my familiarity with Claessens comes from seeing their work support paintings that come into my studio and as a material that I regularly employ during the conservation process. In addition to the rolls of canvas they create, they also offer bespoke and custom stretched canvases for artists all over the world, made right here in their factory to spec. So Thomas, I noticed that you've got Claessens Artist Canvas made in Belgium printed on here. Yeah. This goes out on every...
It goes on every canvas we make.
I've seen in the past in my work, in my studio, many paintings, in fact, that have an oval Claessens stamp. Yeah. Claessens Artist Canvas, Belgium. In fact, I worked on a Diego Rivera painting, a very, very important painting. And after removing the lining, because it was a lined canvas, we found the Claessens stamp. This is what you do now, but did you guys do the stamps throughout history?
And I believe it's the 30s, 40s paintings that have the stamp. Our importer, United States importer, was already marketing, branding, and he started doing our branding on the canvas.
I can imagine that the Claessens stamp would convey quality and value, so of course you would want to advertise it.
It's a very, it's an unknown, it's an anonymous product.
Yeah.
People don't think about the canvas. In a museum, for example, you see oil on linen, for instance. That's the only clue that it's a canvas.
Right.
But it should be oil on Claessens linen.
Right, well, because that's different, it matters.
It will be a difference.
Well, maybe we can change that, we can work towards that.
That would be great.
From their humble beginnings, Claessens has stood the test of time, always at the forefront of their work. For years, they have honed their skills, perfecting the art of canvas creation. And today, their standards can be seen throughout their entire range of products. From their factory here in Waregem, they produce over 50 types of primed canvas, each one unique in its own way. From the coarseness of the canvas fibers to the thickness of the weave and the various finishes. There's truly something for every artist, even the most discerning.
So here we are in a warehouse where we stock every single canvas which we have, up to 50 different types. So from very fine to very rough canvas, so that every artist, every painting style can have or find the perfect match of canvas that suits their needs.
That is fantastic. Well, I'll tell you, this has been an incredible experience, and as an art lover and as a conservator, I just can't wait to see what masterpieces are created.
My journey through Belgium was a tale of discovery as I peered behind the canvas of this great nation. I was honored to be welcomed with open arms by the friendly people who opened their doors and took the time to share their stories, from Claessens to Liebeco and the rolling flax fields of Flanders. I was awestruck by the passion and dedication of those who worked to produce these products. Their commitment to quality and craftsmanship was evident in every step of the process. As my trip came to an end, I couldn't help but feel a sense of reverie. The time had flown by too quickly, and I was left wanting more. But I also felt a sense of gratitude and fulfillment, knowing that I had been given the opportunity to experience such a quintessential part of the art-making process, and to meet the people who are at the genesis of every painting. As I returned to the familiar setting of my studio, I would be remiss not to think back on this whole opportunity to step away and gain a deeper understanding of the art world. Meeting the unsung heroes who work tirelessly behind the scenes, dedicating themselves to their work with the utmost care and attention, has been truly enlightening. It's easy to take for granted the amount of work and passion that goes into creating and preserving the art that we see on display in museums and galleries. But let us not forget the community of people who work tirelessly, plying their craft day in and day out to ensure that we can get lost in the magic of artworks and transported in a way that only the arts can do. You know, that was quite an experience. Traveling around, meeting all of these dedicated and talented people, going into their spaces and seeing what they did. But I can't help but feel like I've only just begun to scratch the surface, and that there's a whole world of the arts left to explore. A whole world behind the canvas.